It's very nice to chat with you all. Jaden asked me to come in today to talk about what it takes to be a championship teammate as well as a championship athlete. Some things that I have some experience on. I was lucky enough to win 2 championships with Trinity Western. One of the hats I got with them, the other one's very obnoxious, got a lot of stuff on it. I didn't wear that one. But before that, I also did play Team BC. I played club growing up. My first year of post-secondary, I played UBCO here in Kelowna. After that, I did 2 years at CBC, one of them with Jaden Ward here, which is where we kind of became friends and met and had a good time. Outside of that, I have done some coaching at Briarcrest. I actually also coached this guy, Jaden, which is crazy, given that we're the same age. But yeah, that's what I did. I coached some club volleyball, both before playing post-secondary and afterwards. But yeah, a little bit of that. And nowadays, I'm married for 4 years, and I play volleyball when I can. I still enjoy it so much. I don't coach as much as I used to. Sometimes relationships get in the way of that and building friendship and relationship with my wife that way. But I do always enjoy giving back, chatting, coaching as much as I can. But yeah, for the talk here, I think I just wanted to first encourage you all to keep going into and taking every advantage and opportunity you can to get better as an athlete. Reality is, at your age, there is a lot of things that you can do to get better. Obviously, club is one of them, playing high school, I'm sure you guys are all doing that already. An example for me is I grew up going to Kelowna Christian School. Not sure if does anyone here go there? Not a chance. KSS maybe? A lot of people KSS? Or Rowling? Maybe that's a big one. Okay.
Good. RSS, there you go.
RSS, there you go. Well, KCS, RSS?
Don't be ashamed.
KCS is a single A school. I played a lot, mostly because I was probably one of the tallest guys on there. I had some skill, which was helpful, but that's kind of all I knew about volleyball at that time. It wasn't until I think my grade 10 year that we actually had someone from RSS who, they didn't have a team at that time. And so he joined our team. He was a setter. It was just a way for him to play, as he was still pretty decent himself. And after that year, he asked me like, hey, do you know anything about club volleyball? And honestly, I had no idea. And he said, you should try out. And I said, sure, let's try it. And so I did try out for club volleyball. It's nothing like what you guys have nowadays for club. We had one club, it was Kelowna Volleyball Club, and we pretty much didn't have a team because we had like 7 or 8 people. So it's kind of crazy how far it's come. Pretty amazing actually, that you guys have your pick of where you want to go. But yeah, so I did club volleyball, and then from there, we were at Club Nationals my first year, and a guy came up to me after one of our games and he said, hey, I saw you playing, and we have Team BC tryouts coming up in the summer. I was wondering if you wanted to try out for that. And again, I barely knew about club this year, didn't know about Team BC. Here's a guy asking me if I wanted to do something, and I said, sure, let's try it out. So I did Team BC that first summer, ended up doing it, I think 3 or 4 years in a row after that too. And my last year playing Team BC, my head coach that year happened to be the head coach for Trinity Western. And during that Team BC year, he asked me, he's like, hey, we had the chat about me going to Trinity. And so I played 1 year at CBC before then, but I ended up playing 2 years at Trinity after that. And it just goes to show, if opportunities come your way, I would highly encourage you to accept that and say, yes, I'm gonna try to do it. It might not work out the same way as me. You might get cut, you might not make it, but you never know. Opportunities can always lead to more and more things. And for me, if I hadn't accepted or wanted to do club that first year when I heard about it, I probably wouldn't have ended up doing Team BC or knowing all these people that I knew and eventually going to Trinity. So Just kind of like a full circle experience that I had that shows do as much as you can to get better, and if someone asks you to do something, assuming it's probably in your benefit, I would say yes. So my first year of doing Team BC, and I was so scared. It's basically you put it in a room of 100 people, probably more athletes. You're all trying to get onto the same team, and in my experience, there were people that were bigger than me, stronger than me, were probably better at volleyball than I was. And yeah, that was a lot for me to take in. I did end up making the team, and kind of what I want to share with you at that point is, from my perspective as an athlete, there was so many other better athletes out there than I was, and why would I get picked? The reality is coaches see a bunch of other things that you probably don't recognize or understand, when kind of what we view as, if you're better, you're probably gonna get taken, or you're the best option. There's lots of different things that they look for. I would say coachability is one of those things. Personality cannot get overlooked. And then I have one more. And effort. I will use my buddy here, Jaden, as an example. He did club as well as he did Team BC with me. And Jaden, when we did Team BC, he was a great player, but he was noticed a lot because after drills were ended, people were grabbing drinks. Jaden would continue to do like 20 more serves on the end line while everyone else was taking a break. Jaden would continuously basically tackle guys to get balls, to shag them and put them onto the cart. He showed a lot of heart, showed a lot of effort, and he ended up making a couple teams, mostly because he's very skillful, he's a great player. But there are other things that coaches look for, and Jaden possesses some of those things, and that's a good example of, it's not just skill, there's other things you can bring to the table as an athlete to get noticed. For me, myself, I personally ate up every piece of advice that I was given when I was a young athlete. If a coach asked me to do something, I rarely considered why. I just said, sure, what do you want me to do? I'm gonna try it out. And that kind of attitude, I mean, coaches can do stuff with that. If you're kind of blocked up, you think you know more, you maybe don't want to try as much things, that does show. And so I would just encourage you to have the perspective of your coaches know what they're doing, and if they ask you to do something, it's for a good reason. Show that you're willing to do it, and that goes a long way as well. But that's kind of my experience of kind of how I came up through playing before post-secondary started. Some things I'll talk about is how to be a good teammate. Something I wrote down here was, to be a good teammate, you need to understand your role on the team, accept what you bring to the table, believe that what you are doing makes a difference on the team, regardless of if you are a starter or not, and knowing that through hard work, you can, but it is not guaranteed that you will change your role. Essentially, if you're not a starter, move up to a starting position. Sometimes that doesn't happen. I played with guys at Trinity that never saw the floor. That kind of things can affect somebody. Yeah, you want to play and to start, but reality is on any good championship team, there's 18 other players that are as good as you are, if not better. And so to be a good teammate, you need to support, you need to accept your role. It doesn't come with complaining about it. There's other things that you can do that if you find yourself in that position where you're not playing, have a mindset of a growth mindset, I guess. Regardless of where you're at, it's not where you want to be. You can get to that place. Again, doesn't mean you will. Some people never start, but to have that growth mindset, it will allow you to kind of get through that process a lot better than being resentful or being upset that you're not someone that's playing with someone else. Something I'll bring up is you kind of never know when your number is going to be called if you're not a starter. An example of that is when me and Jaden were playing at CBC, we had not a big team, but we had 2 setters. A main guy setter who was in his 4th year, and another guy, I think it was in his 2nd year. But our coach liked to play the 4th year guy a lot. And this other guy, the 2nd string, he practiced a ton in practices, but never saw any court time. Near the end of that 1st semester, he chose himself and he said, I'm not getting any playing time. I don't want to be a part of this team if I'm not going to see the floor. And he left our team. So at that point, we had 1 setter. That was pretty much it. Which wouldn't be too much of an issue, but down the line, we ended up making nationals. In one of our later games, our setter actually gets hurt. And
Semifinal.
in the semifinals.
You're up, yeah.
Yeah. We're playing against a team that eventually won, and we were up that set. He got hurt.
Broke his ankle.
Broke his ankle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was devastating. He played through it as much as he could for the 1st set, but then he obviously couldn't play. He was very injured. And had that guy that left our team that wasn't playing, had he chose the team and understood that, you know, I'm not playing right now, but you never know, things could happen, or it's not about me, it's about the team being better. That would have been his opportunity to play in the national, semifinal, and possible final game. And that's unfortunate for him. It was unfortunate for us. It was a decision he made. There's no resentment for me. I don't think there is for Jaden either. But it just goes to show that even if your situation isn't what it is, as a player on a team, things can change. Injuries can happen. You can get better. You can actually take over another person's role. Don't get so caught up in where you're at if it's not where you want to be. Within a championship team, reality is a lot of people won't play. I'll share this a little bit about you, or I'll share this a little bit about me later on at Trinity, but that happened to me. And it does suck, it's not fun, but the mindset that you have through it can be a factor and can help you as well. I guess the story about me then at Trinity, it's kind of a fun story, I guess. I don't share it too often, but at Trinity, my 1st year, we ended up getting to the finals. We were at nationals. So it happens at quarterfinals, so you play a game. If you win that, you go to semis. If you win that, you go to finals, you win. So 3 games. We went to dinner the 1st night, and I ended up getting food poisoning. So I played that game, and then the next 2 games after that, I didn't eat for the next 48 hours. Yeah, 48 hours. I was feeling pretty bad, really sick. I didn't totally feel like I wanted to play myself. At the time, we had 1 other middle, another middle that was injured, and then a 1st year player that had not seen the floor at all, had barely practiced, very inexperienced. I was not in a good spot. I was on my feet, kind of doing what I could, but they asked me to play because if we didn't, then we had to put this 1st year guy in who wasn't ready for that. And so when asked, I just played those games. I was a shell of myself. I didn't necessarily do too much, but I presented a body, and yeah. Again, there's situations that come up that you never know could happen, and just be ready for those when they do, kind of thing.
Where were you when everyone else was celebrating?
So right after the celebration, I went outside. I think I had a quick hurrah with my guys, and then I quickly went outside, puked a little bit, and then while everyone else was out celebrating, I was in the hospital taking 2 IV bags to kind of get better. So it did drain me a lot. It took a lot out of me, but again, you kind of do what you have to do sometimes. And luckily, that's kind of fun because I got to play, so it's kind of not the same, but when you're not feeling that great, it's kind of the last thing you want to do anyways. So when I went to Trinity, I was offered not a full ride, but essentially it paid for my schooling there. And I don't know if you guys have ever had siblings that got in Trinity or you want to go there yourself, it's a crazy expensive school. And so for them to offer me, or for them to offer to pay my full scholarship in terms of schooling, that was amazing. The reality is when they asked me to do that, they had one starting middle on the roster. I would have been coming in as a second middle, and they needed someone that could probably play right away. So that's probably why they offered me a lot of money to play and that stuff. And obviously that first year is when we won, kind of what I was talking about. It worked out well. This second year, we had a first year guy that was playing, that was gonna go into his second year. And it was very evident that at this point in his career, he was a better player than I was, and that he would be starting games and I would. When my coach sat me down and asked about scholarship money for my second year, which would be my last year, he said that he wasn't gonna adjust anything. Reality is, again, I wasn't gonna be a starting middle. He was offering me the same amount of money. Part of that is, and I wanna believe it is this reason, I was still a great athlete. I still possessed a lot of benefit to be on the team. But what I also brought to the team was personality, someone who got along well with others, someone who didn't bring any kind of drama into the locker room, someone who uplifted other people in our team. And I believe that was another reason why he wanted me on the team and was willing to pay probably more than he should have to have me stay. So there's lots of different things you can offer to a team, not just your playing, not just your abilities, it's your personality, it's your what you bring to the team on and off the court as well. To be a championship athlete, reality is it takes a lot. At Trinity, we did things quite the extreme. Our kind of motto or mantra was we would practice more than anyone else. And if we had great athletes and we practiced more than other teams did, then we had probably had a great chance to win as well. Just an example, on a given day, things that I would do is we would do a workout. 3 times a week, we would do like an hour to an hour and a half lift. What we'd also do is during the day, there's individual reps, kind of what Jaden kind of does here as well. And that's basically an hour to an hour and a half as well. That happens 2 times a week. 2 times a week as well, we would do video sessions. So that's just an hour each, but we would video the team that we're about to play. We would do that twice. And then every day, we obviously have practice. And those practices could run anywhere from 2 to 3 hours each. So if you're kind of totaling it up, and not those things won't always land on the same day, but if it did, it's like 7.5 hours devoted to volleyball, getting better at it, and being part of a team. That's a huge commitment. That is partially kind of like having a part-time, full-time job. And it's something that you kind of have to realize it takes a lot of effort to be a good player. Luckily, some of us are like already really good, but there's so many things that you can continue to work on to get better. And time and effort is one of those things that you need to devote day in and day out throughout an entire period of semester and season to get better. So it takes a lot. And sometimes those days are long. You don't always want to go to those things. You'd rather do some stuff with your friends. Sometimes you gotta study and whatnot, but reality is it takes a lot of time and effort to be a good athlete and be a part of a championship team. Something else I wanted to mention is if you ever do get to that level, it's important that you're basically a professional. You're getting paid through scholarship money, but the expectation is that if they're asking you to do something, you're doing it. And I kind of alluded it to kind of a part-time or full-time job. Similar thing, I would assume most of you, if not some of you, have jobs. If your boss asks you to do something, you don't make excuses. Yes, you're getting paid to do something that they're asking. And the same thing with a professional athlete and someone who plays at a post-secondary level. yeah, they ask you to do something, it is your responsibility to be able to do that when asked. Something else that we have at Trinity was a lot of team culture. It'll be different throughout each team that you're on, but with Trinity, the culture was built around respect towards your coaches. In response, they would respect you. Respect towards your other teammates, regardless of if they were starters and you weren't, or vice versa. And then also we had senior athletes, and they would be examples to younger athletes, guys that had only been there for 1 or 2 years, about what it takes to be a Spartan and be someone who is responsible for being a part of a team and helping them get better. One of the things that I was fortunate enough, I did go there 2 years, and I did win 2 championships. Jaden always likes me to show these off.
Well, when else are you gonna have the opportunity?
Yeah.
You don't wear those to like.
I honestly, I don't actually wear these a lot. They're obnoxiously big. No, I don't. Yeah, honestly. Yeah, but you'll hold them. They're very heavy. Take pictures if you want, that's for sure. So as you go through those and look at them, we were able to customize each ring as a team. The first one that we got, it was that one. One of the things that you might see on there, it says 1 Corinthians 13:7. I have it down here. Essentially it means love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. It was something that our coach wanted to instill in us as people, and how we interpreted it as athletes, or as our coach, was he said, he put Spartans in front of that, which is who we were. So Spartans always protect, Spartans always trust, Spartans always hope, and Spartans always persevere. It was an example and a reminder for us as athletes of things that we wanted to be and do during that season. So always protects, we're there for one another. Yeah, we have each other's backs, we endure. It's a long season, many things can happen, but regardless, we want to do our best and put our best foot forward to do as much as we can. And yeah, for that first year, we actually did quite well. I think we always had a really good record, and it was still tough, obviously things happen, but the second ring that is kind of making its way over here, that one, it says back-to-back on it. That's obviously our second one. It does have the trophy, and on the trophy it's got 5 different gems. Each color stands for the team that we beat that year. Just kind of a nice odd for us as a reminder of who we beat. And then if you flip it on the bottom side underneath the ring, just a quick and easy thing that we had put there was choose joy. Something that happened that year that was different than the year before was we started off really rough as a team, and when it got to Christmas time, so halfway through the year, we were basically a 500 team. Didn't really do super well. Yeah, it got to a point where our coach had to kind of put us in a room, and as a team, we just kind of sat down and talked about what was happening, what are things we wanted to change. Guys brought up things that they needed to, and through that discussion, something that came up that somebody talked about was the thing of choosing joy. Throughout the course of a year, it's a long time to devote towards one goal, and as a second year doing it, it can be a lot. And sometimes you forget reasons why you enjoy playing sports, why you enjoy that kind of thing. And for us, it was a reminder to, in all things, choose joy and have that as a reminder of why we're there, for our teammates, for ourselves. And I'm not going to say that's the reason that our season flipped around and we were able to win it, but it is important to have things to latch onto that you believe in yourself, that can make you strive to be better than you are currently. And so that was one of the things that we chose. But yeah, really cool to be able to have those rings. Again, they're so heavy, I never wear them. I can't do a thing with them on. I also did a poor job of sizing it, so the only fingers that it fits on are my 2 pointer fingers. So it's just a little bit weird to hold around like that. Something else I wanted to mention that I alluded to before was in my second year, I was a 5th-year player, and after half of the season, my coach basically sat me down and said, hey, the guy that, the other middle that is kind of vying for time, he's essentially better than you, he's younger than you, and we want to ride him out, essentially play him to the end of the season because we know he's going to be someone we're going to play next year, but you aren't. That was something at the time that was hard for me to take. As an athlete, you always want to play, especially in your 5th year. So it kind of was a big blow. But in that moment, I had a decision to be okay with that, to support my teammate for no faults of his own, just got better and eventually stole that role for me. So one of the things that I decided that I needed to do in that moment was, for the rest of the year, use that time to try to still get better myself. One of the things that could have happened is I could maybe play again. The other thing that could happen is if I got better, I forced my teammate to get better, which in return forced our team to be stronger as a whole. So it's something I learned humility. Very tough as a 5th-year player to not play, but in the end, we all get the rings, we all get to share the stories, so there's some positives there for sure. Something else I wanted to mention was, if you're part of a championship team, again, not everyone plays. If you are one of the fortunate people that is able to play, be kind to your other teammates. It sucks to not play on the court and to see your fellow teammates doing that without you. So be kind to the people that don't get the chance to. And if you are somebody like myself, my 5th year, that is on the bench, like I said before, focus on yourself, get better. Do it for yourself, but also to make the person that's playing before you also have a chance to be better as well. And then kind of what I'll end off here in saying is, in sport, most of the time, especially in volleyball, it's about we, not me. And so I would encourage you to have that kind of mindset as you go through playing in different teams. Volleyball is not a sport where you can take over and do everything yourself. And for people that choose to do that, it can alienate themselves. It can be tough to connect with that person when you're a part of a group of 12 to 16 people doing the same thing. So I think buy into team aspect, buy into I'm a part of this group of people, and we're all trying to do the same thing. And again, it's try not to think about yourself as much, but what you can do to benefit your team. And if everyone on your team had that mindset, then reality is everyone's looked after. And so, yeah, I would just encourage you to kind of think about that. That's my experience playing high-level sport. Obviously started very little, playing high school and club, and you never know where your life can take you if you say yes to opportunities. But yeah, hopefully that was helpful. I am by no means a great public speaker. I've done a couple wedding speeches in my lifetime and been scared to death at all of them. So I hope I did okay to share with you guys my experience today, but it was great to chat with you.
Does anybody have any questions for Leigh? Okay. Well, oh yes, good.
How tall are you? How tall am I? Funny thing is every year that I played post-secondary, I was listed as a different height. I think I started at 6'3", then jumped to 6'5". I was 6'6" at one point, and then my last year I did my actual height. I'm 6'5" and a half essentially.
6'6".
Yeah, 6'6", I know. I think it's more impressive to be shorter and be able to jump higher essentially. But if you're 6'8", people expect you to do well, a little bit better. If you're listed at 6'3", but you're actually 6'5", it's a little more impressive when you play.
What was your max touch?
My max touch was 11.6.5. Yeah, I personally played with guys that touched over 12 feet. I think I played with 2 guys that did.
How tall were they?
How tall were they? The one guy was 6'8", Blake Shearhorn. He's from Ontario. I think he's done some national team stuff. The other guy was, I didn't actually play with him. His name's Jackson Howe. You guys probably have heard of him. He's not that tall. I think he's like 6'3".
6'3".
Yeah, which is crazy. That guy, I always love watching him play. Every time he's in the front row, I just like kind of glued to the screen. Yeah, and then the guy that ended up playing over me in my last year, it's Pierce Sashenko. He's the guy that's playing on the national team right now. So that does help the ego a little bit, knowing that the guy that played over me eventually is now playing in the national team. But yeah, back in the day, it still hurt.
Cool. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Anyway, so that's a pretty cool thing. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit here about college ball here, playing, and yeah, so I actually, Leigh's a great person here because I talked a little bit about the PAC, and he didn't also mention it, but in his 1 year as a coach at the college level, he was assistant coach for the Briarcrest varsity team, and then he was also the head coach for the Prairie Athletic Conference, which is their sort of university team. So it's like a level right below CCAA, still post-secondary, traveling, playing games, and you actually won Coach of the Year. So
Yeah, I
just
beat
saying.
out 3 other coaches for it.
Okay, so we're gonna go over what is post-secondary sport, how do I get recruited, how do I get scholarships, and what do coaches look for. So post-secondary sport, I'll move this a little bit here. Okay, so there's basically in Canada, there's 3 levels of volleyball, right? So we have U Sport, which I think is the one that's like most visible, particularly in our town, because we have UBC Okanagan here, obviously. There are, going off the top of my head, but in BC, I think we have 6, as of, not this year, but next year, 6 universities that are U Sport, because SFU is joining as well. You can see it sort of go on CCAA, that's sort of the college level, and there's a lot more opportunity there. And then also the PAC, so the PAC Prairie Athletic Conference, there's only 6 teams there, but that's in Saskatchewan and Alberta. And so, yeah, and then the states here, we have NCAA, 1, 2, 3. NCAA, it sort of varies on the men's side, generally speaking. U Sport, if you're a high-level U Sport team, you're equivalent to sort of the top NCAA teams. Particularly like when Leigh was playing, Trinity Western, and a couple years after, like even the 2020 year, they'd go down to like Long Beach and UCLA, and they actually kind of creamed.
There's some good videos on there.
If you go look at YouTube,
Yeah.
there's some pretty good ones there. On the girls' side of things, last time I gave this presentation was with, I don't want to go into that, but I was with Ryan Hofer, and he would say that the top div of U Sport is the equivalent of NCAA. I think for the most part, I think NCAA, especially the top teams, are a lot better. Also, but it's still a good. If you go down U Sport, it's also a good path there too. So you can just see numbers wise, right? So Division 1, 2, 3, there's lots there across the states. NAIA is kind of like the level below, and then there's junior college, and there's just a ton of junior college. The big difference here with NCAA is Division 1 or 2, you get full ride. In the States, full ride looks a lot different than in Canada. In Canada, you're limited to the full cost of tuition, not including food and not including accommodation or anything. Whereas in the States, they can cover everything. So it's a lot more lucrative. Div 3, there's no, you're not allowed to get athletic scholarship, but you can still get academic scholarship. And so that's something that will be a recurring theme, is that if you're really wanting to make it big and to be able to make it at the next level, and you're not one of those, I'm 6'8" or maybe 6'3" and that sort of thing, then you're going to want to make sure that the other elements of your life are sort of really good as well, to help keep those opportunities open. Okay, I don't know how much I go into here, but I guess we go to ask questions there. Okay, so how do we get recruited? So there's a good, so the first one here, I think it's self-explanatory, get good at volleyball, right? So if you're one of the top players on your team or in your, sort of age division, you're gonna get recruited, right? And so like even with Leigh's story, right? He's a 6'4" to 6'7", depending on how you list yourself, I don't know. But jumped through the roof, hit the ball very hard, and coaches are coming up, oh, if you thought about Team BC, you should play Team BC, you should come and play fraternity, you should come, right? And so if you're one of the best players, you're going to be recruited that way, right? But you don't want to sort of wait for that as well, right? And so I think that if you're not one of that sort of like, you know how, I don't know if they still do it, but the Vancouver Sun used to come out with like a top 15 players. I don't know if they still do that every year, graduating list, but anyways, if you're not one of those players, right, there's work that you have to put in. I think that's one of the hardest things, or like one of the most important things to learn early on, and you guys are just going to grade 11, I think, for the most part, or grade 4 earlier than that. But a lot of people are kind of just waiting, and then, you know, it's end of the grade 12 year, and it's like, oh, I want to play post-secondary. It's like, oh, have you reached out to any coaches? Have you done anything on your own? Like, oh, not really, right? And then it's hard to do stuff that way. So the first thing you want to do is promote yourself passively, and so I have a little Instagram symbol there. The best thing you can do is to make a Instagram account that is for volleyball and just basically posting highlight clips and stuff like that. So that, because like the first thing that's going to happen is when and again, last time I gave this talk, it was both with Lupo and then also with Brian Hofer, and they would agree with all this stuff. But the first thing you're going to do is they're going to look you up. Sort of, they're asking, coach, what's your name, right? And then they're going to look you up and they're going to want to see your habit, right? And so that's just a nice way that you can have that there, so that when they go to look at it, they have some content. And then you want to start promoting yourself actively. And so definitely like grade 11 year now, the rules have changed. Back when we were playing, you couldn't sign with the university until you were finished your high school season. So like January or December of the high school year. Now the rules have changed so that in grade 11, you can verbally sign and commit, and then you can sign like the first day of your high school. And so what you want to be doing is throughout that grade 11 year, and even as early as like late in your grade 10 year, reaching out, just emailing, saying, hey, you know, this is who I am, here's some video, what are you looking for, that sort of thing. We'll go at the end, we'll go over sort of like what do you want to include in that. But that's actually really important because Canada's a big place. Most of the coaches, particularly if you're not at that, like most head coaches will be at nationals, but there's a lot of teams at nationals. If you're not one of the top 10 teams at nationals, they're probably not going to just go to your court, right? But if they know that you're there, you contact them or something, then there's a high chance that or a higher chance that they will come to you there. Cast a wide net, right? So we went back over here. In Canada, there's a total of roughly 160 different universities that you can play at. I don't think I said on this in this slide, but I think it's really important that you like, I will come back to this if I don't get to it, but basically you want to be choosy, I guess, but also you don't want to be a snob when it comes to colleges either, right? There's nothing wrong with going, you know, CCAA first and then going to U Sport, right? If you don't have the offer there, like, you know, all you want is the opportunity to get in the game to prove yourself, right? And so that's important. And in terms of casting a wide net, so I have a document. I spent a lot of time on it. I've gone through every single university and college and PAC school in Canada, and I have got the contact information for both the male and the female head coaches, and it's in a document. So if you guys would like that, reach out, and then you can. What I would recommend is literally email every single person on that list. It's 150 people. It'll take you 3 hours, and that could be a big difference for you there, right? So that's important. Oh, you don't get to go to my highlight yet. Cast an and then don't give up either, right? So make sure that you're, you even when Ryan was here saying like, it's okay if you like send things a couple times, right? So his recommendation would be like every sort of major tournament you're on that you go through, like send out an email, say, hey, got some new highlights, here it is. Most of the major coaches will have someone else doing their sort of recruiting stuff for them. In terms of like an assistant coach will be sort of going through their inbox. So just because they don't reply right away doesn't mean they haven't seen it. It could just be their assistant, you know, was like, oh, not too impressed or whatever. And then, you know, if you send something else, that'll be good. They also, another thing there would be that, yeah, like just keep emailing. They will let you know if they don't want to see any more emails from you. And if they don't, then definitely respect that. But like, there's nothing wrong with being aggressive, right? So yeah, then there's also like, I have over here Six-Pack Recruiting. They came in last year and talked to us a little bit. That's definitely an option that you can go and do, particularly if you're wanting to go to like the US, right? That's a much bigger sort of thing, and they have connections down there. We're in Canada, we don't have as many connections. Yeah, you know, I think that like, the most important thing is just that you're doing something, right? And one thing that Lupo said, which I think is probably fairly accurate, is that like, if you have these sort of like, sometimes they have like these camps that you go to, like showcase camps and stuff like that. Those are good, but they're not really that, like it's not that important, those things. So don't spend a ton of money doing that. Like go and just send a bunch of emails is probably just as good. So what are we looking for like when we're putting together a highlight video? So 2020, great year, COVID pandemic. I put together a highlight reel because I was looking to play in Europe, and I sent it out to a bunch of teams in England, and I got a couple people saying, hey, we'd love to have you come out. And I was like, sweet. And then everything shut down. Now England is not the greatest league, but they speak English. And so I was like, this is a great place to start. So basically what you're looking for is you don't want anything too long because people are not going to be watching you for very long. So this is just all for one game. You can do it, ideally it's all for one game because then they can kind of, just sort of see, okay, it's not like your 5 good hits or whatever in the whole year. But if you have to splice it together, it's okay. The one thing that I didn't do as well of here would be that I didn't I just did it like as you progress through the game, all the highlights. Probably what would be better is if you have them all sort of all the hits together, all the blocks together, all the passes together, that sort of thing. As much as you can, you also want to make sure that they're in sort of an order, or sorry, like that you're showcasing sort of like movement and on the court and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much what you're looking for that way. And I was gonna say something else about that. Yeah, so the other thing as well is that, and we'll maybe get into it a little bit, that was it, just, that's why I kept it, but that was it. The other thing is that you're gonna also wanna include a full video, because like the next step for like the next step for the coaches, they're gonna see like, okay, these clips are good, but are they just splicing the best things? So you want to do a full clip that way too. Okay, I think we'll just keep going. Okay, regarding scholarships, yes, okay. So different schools have different amounts of funds available. So we kind of said that a little bit, right? So, you know, I had, coming out of high school, I had, yeah, so a lot of schools will be able to give out athletic scholarships, and a lot of the schools, particularly in Canada, will be limited in the amount of athletic scholarships that they can give. And so if you can be able to present yourself as a student, then student first, then athlete, which most colleges would do anyways, then it opens a lot more avenues. So for example, coming out of high school, I had an offer to, a number of different offers, but one of them to VIU on the island. And because I had really high grades, they were able to offer me like a full, like 5-year, everything's paid for sort of scholarship, which was not, it was like sort of a combo. Like it had to go to, it was an academic award, but it had to go to an athlete who had a minimum GPA of I think 3.7 or whatever it was. But because I had that opportunity. I turned it down to take almost no scholarship at a better team in terms of like quality of team, but but that's something you can do there, right? So grades matter, and grades matter not just because of your like scholarship opportunities, that's obviously a big one, but it also matters because it says something about your character, right? And so because you are a student athlete, there's a minimum in terms of the amount of GPA that you need, or like the grades that you need to be able to continue playing, right? And so what you don't want as a coach is to be investing time and money and resources into a player who flunks out after the first semester and then can't play and can't be relied on, right? Or if you don't maintain a certain GPA, they actually don't allow you to rejoin the league for a whole year. So it's quite a big sort of thing that way. I had a player my second year when I was playing in college. That was my year I was right side. But we, probably our best player on the team, he flunked out after the first semester. And so then it was just me, and not in like an ego way, but it was literally just our other our left side was this lefty sider who never played left side before. And so, it's not, you want to have someone you can rely on. So Canada versus USA, I already talked about that. Other scholarship resources, right? So if you, again, like everything you can do on your side can make it a lot easier for the other coaches. So if anyone here, if you guys are applying for your own scholarships, you're getting money that way, then it means that it sort of opens up all the other opportunities. If you can't afford to go to school, right, outside of getting like a full ride scholarship, then you're gonna have to take another school that offered me money out of high school is they're now Northwestern Polytechnic, but it used to be Grand Prairie College. Terrible school, terrible program, way up north in Alberta, but they have a lot of money, right? And I was lucky both because of scholarships and also because of just had some money outside of that that I didn't have to take that offer, but you could like if you're limited, it could be like, okay, I have to take a spot that maybe is not the best for me, and being able to keep those options open means that you're able to find a better fit, right? Another thing too, if you have First Nations background, your school gets paid for, which is a really good thing to mention if you have that and you're emailing, because that is universities are limited in terms of especially at a U sport level. I think it's 16. I want to say it's either 12 or 16. I think it's 16. Each school is limited to being able to offer a max of 16 full ride scholarships per team, and so most of those teams have like 20 to 24 players on them. And so if you can say, hey, you know what, like I have this resource, you don't actually have to count me as one of your scholarships, and that means that it makes you more attractive to the school that way too. So that's helpful as well. Okay, what do coaches look for, right? So when you're sending that email, it doesn't have to be super intense. I do have a sample as well that I can send you guys. But you want to say, here's my name, my age, the team I was on, what height I am, what am I touching, right? My touch, and then also a video, ideally like a 2-minute clip or video there. And then if you have anything, academically I'm really smart, or my team finished, we're the top of Div 1 or whatever it might be, you want to include that in there. The coaches are obviously looking for on-court skill, but they're also really looking at the relational dynamics. So so I was talking to Lupo, who's the U of M head coach, and he was saying that he was watching this game footage of a player who was really interested in, and he got halfway through the set, and the guy, got a big kill. He got a big kill, or maybe he got blocked or something. But rather than going towards the team, he sort of went off by himself to the corner. Like maybe it was after a mistake or something, and he sort of like sulked in the corner. And so he just kind of like turned it off and he was done. Like he didn't even finish the tape, because especially when you have guys who are going to be there for 5 years and you're investing in, like, the team dynamic is so important. And so that's just a good reminder that, like, when you guys are on the court, even if I had a player this year who we didn't let her know that before it started, but there was a college coach, the coach at Douglas came out to watch them, and in a game, and they had a terrible game. They played very poorly, but then she kind of lost her cool a little bit and like slammed the ball on the ground, and then sort of like
threw a little bit of a tantrum. And then like the coach just texted and said, yeah, like I'm not interested. You know, that's the sort of, just goes to show that, you know, you never know who's watching, right, when you're playing, and it's just really important to make sure that you're playing, you know, as you should be, as a good teammate, just like Leigh's talked about, because that stuff really impacts that way. Academics and family as well. You know, as another coach, U-Sport coach that I was talking to, who was saying that he was interviewing an athlete he was really excited in, but you know, he had them on a call. I think he might have gone and visited them in their house. I can't remember what it was, but he was on like a family visit, which is like a sort of fairly common thing. And the kid was, I think, nice enough to the coach, but he wasn't interacting well with his family, his parents. And so based on that, this coach said, no, I'm not interested. Because again, like if you're investing in someone for the long haul, right? They're going to be, they're going to really want that to make sure that you're worth that investment. A couple other things I thought I mentioned. New rule now, if you're in U-Sport, it used to be that once you sign somewhere, you have to stay there. And if you sort of want to switch, you know, if Leigh got to, sure you didn't like it, you would, if you wanted to switch to a different school, you have to wait a full calendar, 365 days until you could go play somewhere else. So oftentimes what people do is they play U-Sport for a couple of years, they drop down, play college for a year, and go somewhere else for U-Sport. Now, if you're in your first or second year, you can make that switch without there being a penalty. Mostly because there were some schools who were kind of over recruiting, like they'd say like promise 3 guys, like, oh, you're going to be our starter next year, and then all of them would sign, and then they wouldn't be able to play, and it would be, or it's an unhealthy place to be or whatever. I think that's most of the stuff that I had. Yeah, any questions about any of that? Yes.
When you say height play a role, like when did the coach stop looking at you based on?
Oh, height. Yeah, great question. So that would be something, you know, a lot of it is actually dependent on the coach itself, right? So some coaches are going to, and definitely I would say that like, maybe going back to that beginning, what's the difference between sort of U-Sport and college? A lot of that is just height, in terms of, you know, if you're 6'8", you know, you can play U-Sport. I was 6'7" in U-Sport, and I was a short middle. They've kind of gone away from that now. Like they have some shorter middles now, but they're just really athletic. Like I was never that athletic. But at the college level, right? We have a buddy, Luke, who played for CBC, and he was 6'2" as a middle, and he made it as a middle, 6'2", right? So that's the major difference, I think, between the two in terms of that. Yeah, it also depends on what your role is, right? So if you are, and also I would say like one of the reasons you put in your touch, like your touch is because that has a big impact as well, right? So Bryce Turner, who's a coach here, he played at University of Alberta Augustana, and he was 5'10", maybe, I don't know how tall he is, but he, you know, he touched the same as the other setter on his team, which was 6'2". Right, and so you know, there is some coaches are going to say I just want tall players, but a lot of coaches, you know, are going to look for skill and definitely like all the skills as well. Right, so yeah. Any other questions? No. Okay. Well, we're right on time, which is great. But thank you guys so much. And yeah, if you guys have any questions or anything, always love to chat as well. And yeah, one of the reasons that we run this program and yeah, you know, Genesis in general, like I had such I feel like college ball was so transformative for me, and so I want, you know, as many people as possible to experience that, and so yeah, I want to be able to do anything I can. It's kind of fun. We're at an age now where like a lot of people that we played with are coaches, or even like a really good buddy of ours just became head coach of CBC, Ethan Larson, so you guys know him as well. But that's pretty cool. And then I think you played with Schreimer, right?
Adam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So head coach for Trinity Western he's good buddy as well. So it's a big one too. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for coming. It was great.
Thank you.
Thank you.